And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Frazier Deeter's Business Beat. I'm John Ray alongside Alpharetta office partner of Frazier Deeter, Roger Lusby. Roger.
Hey, John, good morning and happy November to you.
Happy November. Great to be with you again. And we've got another great guest that you've brought into the studio today.
Well, we actually have two great guests.
That's right.
And a very exciting company. So very similar to last month's presentation and looking for the platform here.
Yep, absolutely. Let's get into it with BJ Pilling and Tim Barchie, and they are with Huddle Tickets, and also known as GoFan. Guys, welcome.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about GoFan. How are you serving the market out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So GoFan is a event ticketing platform for high schools. So think Ticketmaster at the high school space. And so GoFan's been around for about 5 years now. And then certainly with the pandemic at play, the acceleration of technology towards digital is certainly something that's helped us step that platform to kind of more of a must-have item for the high schools.
Now, we obviously have got the issue of the pandemic, so let's get into that and how what your platform has offered high schools has really helped them.
Yeah, great question. So high schools have predominantly been a cash-based ticketing transaction, and so you just walk up to the gate on Friday night, you hand them your 20, get in, take your change and move on. So certainly the elements of the pandemic that come into play there is that social distancing element and certainly capacity management as well. And so most of the high schools around the Atlanta market are at 30, 40, or 50% of ticket capacity. And so what they needed to do first and foremost is to prioritize access to the event, making sure mom, dad, sister are able to get into the event. And then also the right community members can purchase the tickets and, socially distance and kind of get into the game in a timely manner.
And then with a lot of high schools not wanting to accept cash because of the pandemic, this has actually probably accelerated the usage of your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. We joke that probably 5 years worth of acceleration because, again, just moving from that nice to have element to that must have to solve for those problems.
Roger, the thing that I would add, originally we targeted the solution towards athletic directors and football coaches and selling events. And really, we've transitioned to be a tool for the finance people within the school. So, you understand with an accounting background, how challenging, counting cash would be in multiple outlets at a school. Our platform allows you really to consolidate that. So every transaction flows through the platform. And then at the end of the night, closing out simply is pushing a button and you have your results for how many tickets you sold and how much cash is going to go into your bank, the following week as part of your gate collection. So definitely a different value prop that's been presented, over the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, and we're talking that you guys represent thousands of high schools.
Yeah, that's correct. So, mentioned the Atlanta market there, but across the country, probably 30 to 35 states will still have a fall sports championship this year. So certainly we've seen 10 to 15 states push that championship back. But, we have representation in, I think, over 40 states now.
Let's dig a little deeper on the financial side because the dynamics of high school sports are a whole lot different than maybe folks think, because a lot of people think college, and that's a whole different dynamic than it is high school. And high schools are really in need of the cash flow that comes from those events. And this is where you help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the largest districts in the country referenced to us that their football ticket sales represent about 90% of their overall athletic budget. And so when you start talking about limited capacity and limited ticket sales, using kind of that cash cow of football to fund things, downstream and spring sports and stuff like that, it's certainly important for them to maximize that ticket revenue. And so one of the other elements that GoFan provides is limiting the amount of staff needed on site. And so if everyone, 100% of the crowd has their ticket on their phone as they're approaching, there's a lot less people manning a cash box. There's a lot less security needs. There's just a smoother flow to get in. So in addition to, maximizing the revenue, it also helps them save on those expenses.
And then you guys are also doing some work with branding and socializing as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. One unique aspect of digital is knowing your fans, right? And so high schools certainly know their parents, but how do you know kind of those community members and help encourage them to get to the event as well? And so as they transition to kind of an all digital solution, first and foremost for us is to just help them promote their upcoming events. And again, if they're at 50% capacity, then making sure that they sell that out completely.
And you serve more than football. I mean, we talk about football, but I noticed on your site you've got all variety of sports that you serve.
Yeah, really, we've also seen acceleration in middle school and the non kind of larger sports, right, like volleyball and JV in ninth grade and stuff like that. So continue to see a lot of growth in those areas as well.
Yeah, and the schools that consider themselves GoFan only, so they're only ticketing their events through the platform. They'll also use it for things like prom, special events like dances or theater. So a lot of different broad events across football.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anywhere where a ticket is required, correct?
100%,
yeah.
Right? And again, it goes back to, not having to have a teacher with a cash box that then needs to drop off, payments to the district finance office or the individual school finance office. It's all just on the platform and taken care of behind the scenes from them. Takes another element out of the event management equation for the schools.
Yeah, to that point, like if you look at a traditional high school experience, at your larger games, an administrator will have to get $5,000 to $7,000 worth of $1 bills out to serve as the cash change box, and so you have all that cash to start the night. You accept it from all the fans throughout. You've got 3 to 5 different gates that then have to reconcile that money. A bookkeeper then has to count that money Friday night. She's got to count it again Monday before it gets deposited. So there's just a long chain of events that, as we look at 2020 and digital solutions, to be part of that solution is pretty special.
Folks, we're chatting with BJ Pilling and Tim Barchie, and they are with GoFan, and the main company is Huddle Tickets. That's what the company is known as. But to find the service, you go to GoFan. Let's talk about Huddle Tickets and just maybe the history. Let's back up and talk about how you started the company, what your vision was at that time, because it's changed over the years. And this is you're not a Johnny-come-lately that just started because of COVID-19 and digital ticketing. So talk about your journey.
Yeah. So Huddle Tickets was founded in 2001, predominantly as a sponsorship-based, providing free tickets to high schools across the country. And so for the past 20 years, Huddle has provided over 2 billion complimentary tickets on behalf of corporate America. So, take a Dick's Sporting Goods or a Subway, what they're doing is they have a one-stop shop. So let's take the Atlanta market to speak with Huddle and receive basically access and branding to every school in Atlanta. And so it really creates this win-win situation where schools are provided free tickets, and so they don't have that expense on their books. Again, Dick's Sporting Goods works with one company to get every single school in Atlanta, which really creates a bigger footprint than even, what the Falcons, Hawks, or Braves could kind of provide. And then certainly we were able to, have that business based on the sponsorship revenue.
And then your first client was Wendy's. Did I read that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So it was in North Carolina. Brad Williams, who founded the company, had a contact at Wendy's that said, hey, we're looking. It was interesting. They had a sports sponsorship with the Carolina Panthers. All the Wendy's locations in Charlotte benefited from that kind of ticket distribution, but in the Outer Banks and Wilmington, those weren't getting that same exposure. So high schools are that unique element that, they're a pillar of every community across the country. And that's what makes this kind of unique and rewarding for both Huddle Tickets and then also the future of digital ticketing with GoFan.
So talk a little bit about the journey and maybe some of the ups and downs, some of the things you learned along the way. Smiles around the table here. Share some of those maybe tough moments that you got through that you learned a lot out of.
Yeah. So Tim's been on board 3 years. So, as you guys know, any transition to digital has its bumps along the way. But, we launched GoFan 5 years ago with kind of the hypothesis that, either we were going to cannibalize that pay per ticket sponsorship business or someone else was going to. And so, bet on ourselves, launched into kind of the software realm, and, to those learnings, right? Like it's a challenge. It's not easy to just roll software out and have a solution that's going to work for everyone. And so, really in the past 3 to 4 years, trying to figure out what kind of that model looked like from the standpoint of, there wasn't a demand element. There weren't those capacity limitations there are right now. And so again, you could show up on Friday night, stand in the long line, pay your money, and get into the event. And so, we found ourselves as kind of this niche solution for fans that either weren't carrying cash or didn't want to stand in line. And so, really Tim was helpful and instrumental in really pushing that value. We see ourselves as a B2B2C company, initially focused on the consumer and providing a better value prop and experience for them, shifting that to the schools and handling those things like the financial stability and the, being able to provide a seamless entry into the event has been a huge windfall for us for sure. Yeah.
And I think I would add to that, when you grow up in a sponsorship and brand-based business, driving advertising sales, it's a much different business than, what we really are right now as a fintech company. So, we're going through a massive hiring program, and, we're looking to bring in folks that have fintech experience, can help us further build out the platform. And it's a different business than it was even, a little over, 2 to 3 years ago when I joined. So pretty exciting to be a part of that adventure, and, challenges for sure. But, the one thing that Huddle, the legacy company, has always had is this amazing culture. So, Alex Gue, Beckett Gue, Joey Thacker, who were instrumental in kind of taking it to the second phase after Brad, they built this amazing group of people. And so stepping into people that are already bought into the company, when we're transitioning over to fintech is, it's easier to be done because people are already bought into a lot of the messaging and the vision. And so, if you were to come into our office, last Friday, in the middle of Masters, we have the Masters, on the TV, and we're in the middle of a company-wide putting contest and things like that. So, it's been challenging for sure, and ups and downs. And, I think that's why we're all in this type of business, but, a really exciting journey for sure.
And then to help with all that growth, you guys brought in a PE company.
Yeah, so we're working with BIP Capital. They came on board kind of 4 years ago, I believe, right around that transition to kind of digital to help. And they've been great to work alongside us and help us along that journey. And, we weren't sure if high school athletics were going to happen this fall. And so to have someone like that to lean on and provide kind of that guidance and advice was certainly helpful.
Yeah. I know when we went into April of, a point where all events were being shut down. So we had a, full slate of spring events that were going to happen, and proms, and, millions of dollars out there with people that had purchased tickets through the platform, and then all that gets canceled and refunded. They were the first ones to provide clarity and visibility into the fact that this is a long-term play, and hey, it was a big opportunity for us to, reposition even more towards the school. And we didn't know what the fall was going to bring, but, that guidance and leadership, is paying off tenfold because we're now in such an accelerated place. And, we didn't panic. We kind of really put in a lot of work in the spring and in the early summer to make this happen.
And how about some of the smaller colleges and the smaller conferences? Are those potential clients for you guys as well?
One thing that we did on this journey that's been super helpful is try to stay hyper focused on where we thought we could be most successful. And so, for us, that was the high school space. We have a lot of kind of unique product features that are customized to high school that probably would apply to the small college. But with 20,000 high schools out there, we just felt like the market was big enough and our strategic position was in a good spot that, is really to just kind of continue to invest in those high schools and really middle schools here recently as well.
Yeah. Have there been any thoughts about international?
No, Stuart, our CTO, I think, and Tim, our CFO, will keep us U.S. based here for a little while.
Yeah, again, to BJ's point, focus is a big part of it. The market certainly is huge. And, one thing about the high school market is it's so dispersed, right? You're talking about 20,000 plus just at the high school level. And it's very high touch because unlike handling ticket for a professional team where they have somebody responsible for that event management solution, the high school really doesn't. They have an athletic director, an assistant to the AD, but everybody kind of pitches in to get that done. So they need, technology solutions like ours to help make that happen. But a lot of that becomes very high touch, and there's a lot of training of the schools in using the platform. A lot of questions come in for each event. So it's not simply something where you could throw a piece or a technology tool out there and they use it. They need a lot of guidance on, how to get that done. So our focus pays off, in that manner. There have been other people that have kind of been broader and they haven't been very successful, in high schools because of that.
And then how about some of the opportunities with all the data that you guys must have?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's honestly something we're still trying to find our way around and the best way to maximize it, right? So, certainly recognize the sensitivity to high school sports and fans and students that are buying it. And so, when we look at that, we're really, again, putting the focus on the school and trying to figure out, how do we leverage that, create even more value and stickiness for them, whether that's raising additional funds, which we talked about from the beginning, or again, just making sure those fans have the tickets prior to getting to the event to just maximize that fan experience.
Yeah, one thing that the, legacy Huddle Tickets, the fans really enjoyed about the program was the how robust the offers were that were delivered within that. So, Dick's that BJ mentioned, it was a $10 off 50 coupon, multiple within the QSR restaurant space, multiple free sandwich type of offers. Anything that we do along the data spectrum would probably always be driven by what kind of offers we could deliver to the fans for, attending high school sports and being part of that.
Folks, we're here chatting with BJ Pilling and Tim Barchie, and they are with GoFan. And I'm curious about sponsorships. I mean, we talked a lot about digital ticketing, but how do obviously sponsorships play a source of revenue in terms of what high schools depend on? How does your platform help with sponsorship revenue?
Yeah, so our core revenue source pre-pandemic was our sponsorship business with the paper tickets across the country, and so that business was cratered. So while we're here talking about GoFan accelerating, there wasn't a lot of brands in the spring that were looking at committing to what they didn't know about a high school coming back to session, and then certainly athletics happening as well. And so, right now we're in the brainstorming ideas to what Tim just talked about there of how to take that model and apply it to a digital ticket to, again, make sure that we're maximizing the value that we can bring for the school first and foremost, but also that fan to where, if you attend the high school game, to have that 10 off 50 at Dick's Sporting Goods, and, a lot of them are parents and have students involved in athletics, they can have that additional value driver.
Yeah, because typically in the high school scene, a sponsor got a banner that was put out on the fence somewhere, and they put them all next to each other, and that was what the sponsorships were. Mm-hmm. And so this is a totally different market here, and might be very, very interesting.
Yeah, one of the weaknesses of our Huddle Ticket program historically was that a brand like Dick's Sporting Goods would have to sign up in March for the future school year, so we'd be having conversations about the 21-22 school year now. And so for a brand to commit to a 9-month offer 15 months in advance is certainly a challenge. And so with digital ticketing, right, there's that, we were just joking that it's chilly coming in this morning, right? So they can deliver a North Face message or something about a jacket. And so, it's, we're intimidated at some points to think about all the opportunities to make sure we say yes to the right things and, no to the others. And so it definitely presents an awesome opportunity for us that we'll be releasing here soon.
Well, Roger brought up a good point here, because what you're talking about there is a better ROI if you're a sponsor on that sponsorship, as opposed to, as Roger says, just, the banner that's on the gate, and you really don't know, the fence, you don't know whether that's, that customers coming in because of that banner on the fence or not, right? I mean, it's really more of a goodwill sponsorship in that case, right?
No, absolutely. And two, just the metrics that can be behind it, right? So, high school athletics, as you can imagine, if you're having a great year and you host your big rival, it's a strong year for attendance. If you're struggling and you're in a transition and your rivalry game is away, it can cut your attendance by, 50%. And so certainly with digital ticketing, now the metrics are there for how many eyeballs did I get, and also how many potential redemptions or whatever that kind of, ROI measurement would look like.
Yeah, but this is a much more intentional approach for the sponsors, and I think that would be ideal for them.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about how you grow. I would think that the high school world is fairly tight. People talk to each other. I would think word of mouth is important in terms of how you grow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's high schools are interconnected. You hit the nail on the head on that front, and in so many of them, there's kind of this wall or this status quo in front of them, right? And so that was one of the challenges initially with digital ticketing was, oh, wow, for the first time in the school's history with ticketing, someone else is going to be handling our money. And so some of the things Tim talked about a few minutes ago about just the importance of that transparency, does the athletic director trust you? Does the CFO trust you? And does that bookkeeper trust you? And so one of the anecdotes that came out of this fall, there's a bookkeeper in Opelika, Alabama that said, I've been counting every single dollar of tickets that have come in through here 3 times for 18 years. And a high school can have upwards of 100 events over the course of the year. And so, she's counting that money. And so now all of a sudden, right, as you fast forward to that case study and that word of mouth and, she calls over to Auburn High School in Alabama or whatever that might look like, that value prop, right, of, oh, wow, these guys didn't screw it up for you. They actually enhanced it for you. And so really honing in on that value prop has certainly helped us, create kind of that network effect. Because for the fans too, right? If I know that Milton High School, Alpharetta High School, and Cambridge High School are all using the same ticketing platform, it really is now like if I'm going to a Falcons game, right? If I want to check the secondary market, I'm going to StubHub or I'm going through Ticketmaster through the Falcons primary site. And so that network effect is certainly powerful as well.
So BJ, do you have any competition out there? And if so, who is that?
Yeah, so we have 2 competitors, one based out of Ohio, Hometown Ticketing, and then Ticket Spicket out of Virginia. And so they've certainly each carved out kind of their regional niche as well. But we've partnered with a group called the NFHS Network and 35 plus state associations across the country. And certainly also with that foundation of Huddle Tickets. It's our belief that that we're in the driver's seat. And so for us, it's really just focusing on our offer and our value to the schools to just continue to bring the best product we can to the market.
Yeah, I think the original investment thesis was, 10,000 high schools that are benefiting from Huddle Tickets. You convert those over to the, digital realm, and it's a different type of business. Again, going from sponsorship to fintech. And so, I think we're well on our way to, making that happen. So.
And so right now, Georgia football is in the playoffs, which, as I understand it, is state run. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So the disruption of the pandemic has certainly thrown all these schedules off, right? So you've got states that still haven't started football yet that are eyeing January and some even March. And so Georgia's in the last, I believe, 2 weeks of the regular season. So some of the playoff seedings and matchups are starting to kind of formulate. But, if you go down the road here to Alabama, they're 3 weeks in now to the postseason and off to the races.
But I guess my point is so if you have a contract or agreement in place with the school and now we're in the playoffs, is that an agreement that's needed with the state?
Yeah. So, we've taken both a kind of quote unquote bottoms up approach with the school and also a tops down approach with the GHSA, which, kind of serves as the governing body or state association in the state of Georgia. And so when football playoffs start in the state of Georgia, I believe there's 106 matchups or something like that the first round. Every single one of those games will be posted available for sale on GoFan. And so one of the logistical challenges for us with 106 schools across the state is, again, going back to making sure those parents and those senior students and those family members are the first ones with access to buy those tickets.
Yeah, because the state sets the price on those as well.
Correct.
As I understand
Correct.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that'll lead up all the way to that culminating event at Georgia State this year with 8 football state championships.
And then, logistically, if you're talking about why would the state association partner with us? They, would have to collect gate receipts from the 106 matchups individually from all those schools. Now it exists in one place. We simply transferred the money over to.
It's perfect for them. Yeah.
Right. So, we've had conversations with the state of Michigan who, did every game, every playoff on the platform. They used to spend the whole year in collections mode from the individual schools getting back those gate receipts that were, state receipts for those playoff games. Now they know exactly, how many people attended, and, have those funds within a couple of days after the event happened. So, different dynamic and, big value prop for us for sure.
And going back to that data you talked about, right? So, I think there's over 250 schools now in the state of Georgia that's taking this kind of GoFan only approach to their ticketing. And so, of the 16 teams that qualify for those state championships, and, Georgia State offers a bigger facility and opportunity to kind of really maximize those ticket sales, having a robust database to offer back to fans and say, hey, make sure you buy your tickets to the state championship event, this year, which is happening right around the holidays, right? So you can have a lot of alumni back in town, and, being able to, again, leverage that to maximize ticket sales for them is a key component.
Folks, we've been chatting here with BJ Pilling and Tim Barchie, and they are with GoFan, and the parent is known as Huddle Tickets. Guys, this has been great. As we wrap up here, I'm just curious about what the future holds. I mean, obviously we're in a pandemic. We don't know what's going to happen, up, down, whatever, ever on that front. But just as you look ahead, what are you seeing for your future, how that will unfold over the next few years?
Yeah, I think for our future, it is, we were all thrust in this, unique, let's call it opportunity, right, with the pandemic that has really provided schools the opportunity to move to this kind of digital only or digital first mentality. And so the hope for us is, right, that we've driven enough value for them through a, fan experience, school experience, and certainly those financial components that, similar to what the Falcons did when they set the trend across the country for digital ticketing, we're doing the same for high schools, and that it's here to stay and something that we can only just continue to bring more value to both the schools and the fans.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
Another very cool company. And,
Absolutely.
But BJ, Tim, I didn't know if you wanted anything to wrap up, or how would people get in touch with you if they're interested?
Yeah. So our consumer site is gofan.co, .co. Again, a lot of people add that M on there, but you can find tickets across the country to buy there, and then also back into our company history and info from there.
Yeah. And then I would say, reach out to us on LinkedIn. We're both pretty much open networkers looking to connect with other people in the Alpharetta and Atlanta area, for just sharing of ideas. And Atlanta's becoming a huge tech mecca, especially in fintech. So, we're looking to connect even more into that community in other ways. So feel free to reach out to us there.
Yeah. And for those, maybe those high schools out there that may hear this, talk about where they should be in touch, because we want to get some customers sent your way too.
Yeah. Same process.
Okay.
So driving to that consumer site will get them right to where they need to be.
Awesome. Great work, guys. BJ Pilling and Tim Barchie from GoFan.co. Let's say it one more time. Thanks so much for being with us.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Folks, just a quick reminder that this show is brought to you by the Alpharetta office of Frazier Deeter. And Frazier Deeter is an award-winning international CPA and advisory firm. It's nice to say international, isn't it?
Always.
I love it. We got to shout out your London office. And they've got great and deep technical expertise and even a deeper dedication to their clients. Their CPAs and advisors believe in investing in relationships to make a difference. For more information, go to FrazierDeeter.com. Roger, this has been great. Another great company we've had this month.
Yeah, we appreciate, BJ, you and Tim coming. Thank you so much, and have a great Thanksgiving, okay?
Yeah, thank you guys as well.
Awesome. And for Roger Lusby, I'm John Ray. Join us next time on Frazier and Deeter's Business Beat.